Hi, everybody. Welcome to Math with Ace. We are focusing on statistics again today. In this question, we have already performed an example where we worked on creating the frequency and relative frequency distribution for the information on the left. But what I want to show you is how to make a histogram in Stapplet. Stapplet is a website that it's web-based. So if you go to www.stapplet.com, it's applet with ST in front of it. It's a free resource that's been developed by statistics teachers that allows us to perform a numerical analysis, allows us to make graphical displays and perform inference. It's a wonderful website-based tool that we can use, and it's free. So what you want to do is go to Stapplet, and then this is the page that's going to come up. It's going to ask you, are you doing data analysis, probability, concepts? Are you doing activities? Which one are you doing? So we want to create a histogram, which is analyzing the data. In addition to analyzing the data, we're going to make a picture. So we're going to create a graphical display. We're going to run some numbers and do some things. But what we need to decide is what type of data do we have? So in the data analysis, you basically are given, are you dealing with one variable, two variables, multiple variables? Do you have categorical data or do you have numerical data? So in the question on the left, we were talking about the viruses and researchers A and B. I'm just going to focus on researcher A right now. So I'm dealing with that one variable, so researcher A's data in days. And then what I'm going to do is think about the fact that those are numbers. So because they're numbers, they are not categorical, they are quantitative or numerical. So they say categorical, which is the same thing as qualitative. And then they say quantitative, which is the same thing as numerical. So we have one quantitative variable in a single group right now. We're just talking about researcher A. And collaborative is if you're working as a class. So we are not going to be working on that right now. We're just doing one quantitative, so a single numerical variable. And when I select that, I'm asked to name the variable, and then I'm asked how I'm inputting it, and then I'm given a spot for data. So this is researcher A, researcher A's data in days. And I think that this allows us to create a label for our graph, which is very important. But I want you to notice that there's a few different ways you can input your data. You can be given the mean and the standard deviation. You could be given the 5-number summary, or you can be given raw data. Mean and standard deviation means you have the average and the standard deviation for a data set, and that's all you're using. 5-number summary will get there. That means you have the minimum, the maximum, the first and third quartile, and the median. We are dealing with raw data. And what you could do is I could hand enter this. I could go 3, okay, 4, okay, 11, okay, or I can copy and paste. Entering the data by hand provides the most room for error, just so you know. I think when in doubt, if you can copy and paste data, do it. Otherwise, you might run into issues. So I'm going to copy and paste this data. So I highlight the data, and then I'm going to press Control-C. You could also right-click and ask to copy, okay? What I'm going to do then is I go into the data box, and I'm going to press Control-V, or I can also paste into the box. Now notice it says input data separated by commas or spaces. I have a space and I have a semicolon. Let's see what happens. In order to create the graph, I'm going to begin analysis, and it actually accepts the semicolon. So even though it just says commas or spaces, you can use semicolons as well. So now I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger, and I could edit the inputs if I want, but notice in this graph distribution right now, it doesn't look like the histogram that we've seen in the histogram section. This is a dot plot, and it tells you it's a dot plot. It says graph type. I could select show box plot. We're going to get there in a few sections, which appears above the data set or the graph of the dot plot. But I'm allowed to do a couple of different options here in my graph. I can select histogram, and I'm going to get rid of the box plot. And when I do that, here is my researcher A's data in days. I am asked if I want to do the interval width here, if I want to enter the boundary value. So let's say right now it looks like it's grouping by 5. What if I wanted to group by 4? I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And I've adjusted my histogram so the size got a little bit smaller. What if I wanted it to go by 7? enter. I make my bin width wider. So right now you have your frequency on the left, and then you have your numbers of days and your ranges. And if you highlight over any bar, it'll tell you how many are there and what the range is. So notice this first bin width, I'm going to go back to 5 just to make it a little bit cleaner. This first group goes from 0 to less than X to less than 5. That means 0 values, because 0 is equal to X, 0 values all the way up to, but not equal to 5. So if you had the number 5, it needs to go into the next box. The next box is 5 up to less than 10. 10 up to less than 15. So the width on the left-hand side, that is included, but the one on the right is not. Now, another thing I can do is I could change this to be relative frequency. Notice that the picture did not change. The bins look the same. The class width is the same. The only difference was on the left-hand side, I now have percents instead of whole numbers or counts. Now, lower down, I get summary statistics. I can perform inference. That's a whole other bag of tricks we can use for later. But let's say I wanted to edit. I could go into edit inputs and say, oh, I want to add, 12. And then I can begin analysis and start over. So you can edit, you can reset, but it's very easy. You copy and paste. You just have to make sure you know, oh, by the way, this is a number. It's not categorical, it's number, and it's 1. So that's what we're going to be using. Hopefully this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next round.